Hello, welcome to my breakdown. Hi. Hey, girls, welcome back to Rough as Rats. Oh my shot, in my last episode, I posted a clip on TikTok and the clip did really well. It was just a little clip of me speaking about how I get really annoyed when people are like job snobs and they judge me for the job I have. And all the comments were like, yeah, I agree with you. And then I had some fucking bozos being like, what is wrong with AI? Like, trying to, and I was like, you do not know who you're speaking to. Kindly shut the fuck up. Like, anyway. So, anyway, if you're new, hi. I don't know if you are. You could be the same person. You could be someone new. You could be anyone. I wouldn't know. Isn't that crazy? Like, I have no idea who's watching this right now, which is actually genuinely a little bit scary, but let's not get into that. Let's not freak myself out because let's get into the meat and potatoes of things. Oh my God. Around here, around these parts, it's literally been, and I have been headlining, Crying Cella. Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh, my phone just did a flip. Do a flip! I have been headlining Crying Cella. I've also been headlining like my Luteal Face Festival. I've been headlining Hormonal Cella and what other cellas? Emotional Sponge Cella. Like, it's been a lot the past couple days, and I have always struggled with my period. Okay, with my birria tacos because I used to want to run away. I spoke about this in my recent vlog, but back a few years ago, 2023, yeah, I went through this lovely little period of, before my period started, my period, for about 2 weeks of every month, I would plan how to run away or die. I would plan one or the other, and I would text my mum every single month, same time, like clockwork. I would text my mum and I'd be like, hey, so I think I'm gonna like move to not America. What the hell? I would never say that. That is when you should get me sectioned. Unless it's New York City and there's a nice better person in charge of the country, I'm not moving there. Anyway, I text her and I'd be like, hey, like, I think I'm going to move to Australia. And every single month she'd be like, have you sort of thought about this? And have you seen what sort of time of month it is? And she started tracking monthly when I would start saying all of this absolute hocus freaking pocus, because she was like, oh my gosh, like obviously something is going on with her. And well, there was, because I went to the doctors and I was like, look, genuinely, I'm gonna like die at like my own will. And I'm not talking a trip to Switzerland. I'm talking like, well, girl, I've tried. Okay, I'm not very good at many things, and trying to off myself is one of them apparently. But I spoke to the doctors. I was like, look, like it's not good. And I wanted to do so many just very, not, I don't know if, yeah, destructive, because trying to die is destructive, but also like trying to move across the world. I wanted to end my relationship at the time. Like, it was bad. And then my godmother was like, this sounds like PMDD. So she gave me some stuff to read about PMDD. I was like, oh my gosh, that is everything that I'm feeling. Had never heard of it. It's premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which, to sum it up and like kind of boil it down, is basically like PMS on speed. Like, it's really, 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 really bad PMS. But I don't even think you could say it's really bad PMS because it makes you like really like not very well. It's terrible, and I really wouldn't wish it on anyone because it's just like, it's nasty actually. It's really not, you're a very nasty girl. It's just, yeah, it's awful. So I had a appointment with the gynecology department in Chelsea Hospital, question mark, a hospital in London. And well, I say I went there, I didn't. Well, I had an appointment, but I didn't go there because obviously it was a telephone call. And the person I spoke to was like, yeah, it sounds like PMDD, but it also could sound like you're allergic to progesterone and that your body can't like handle any form of birth control that's hormone based. So if I wanted to go on birth control, the only one I could like use is the copper coil because it's non-hormonal. But then I've heard so many bad stories about that as well. So you just can't win, can you? You literally can't win. Anyway, so my period has always been very bad, and not just emotionally, but as I've gotten older. Like when I first got my period, like I didn't really see, like I got cramps, like anyone gets cramps, but as I've gotten older, I get like really bad headaches. I get migraines anyway. I have chronic migraines. Yes, liability. But I get like a migraine before my period starts. I'm sick. I get really bad cramps, and I get bad like aching pains in my joints. Question mark. Like I need a longer arm. If you're just listening, let me tell you, the wingspan on my arm, oh my god, it's actually insane that I cannot fly if I move my arms quick enough. Well, that's probably why I can't fly, because I ain't moving my arms that quick, but you know what I mean. Like anyway, so I get really bad physical symptoms of my period as well. And then if that wasn't bad enough, I'm also just absolutely going insane whilst all of this is happening. And people were like, luteal phase, that's not a real thing. Shut the fuck up. Yes, it is. And it's so scary, because actually I think last episode I spoke about, I was a bit emotional in that episode because I started talking for like an hour and 40 minutes, which I didn't see coming, by the way. That was a surprise to all of us. But I was sat there just chatting my ass off, and then I got a bit emotional because I think I was speaking about my ex-boyfriend for a little bit of it, and then I was like, oh, and it's only going to get worse because my luteal phase is approaching. And then I was like, wait, don't put that out there, like it'll be fine. Wrong. It was actually okay until maybe, so it's the 18th of August today. Oh, sorry, almost burped. Had salmon for dinner, got to taste that again, lucky me. Maybe it started last Friday or Thursday. So it's almost been a week. Lucky me. And it kind of started because I was just like anxious, like general anxiety that I get all the time. And then it was like, oh, I'm feeling very unlovable. Oh, okay, let's add that into the mix. Then it was, why is everyone in a relationship, and like why is everyone loved up and I'm just like everyone's worst nightmare. Then it was, what am I doing with my life? That's just like an every so often little thought. I'm like, what am I doing? And then I'm like, oh, shut up. And then I went out on Friday night, which was really, really fun. I went to Brixton with cousin, with Bulldog, with Trixie. Like it was really fun. And met my internet friends in real life. Yeah, emotional. And I came home from Brixton at 2:00 in the morning. Now, let me tell you one thing. Maisie FL, that's me, by the way. I do not deal well with late nights, okay? I need sleep. Like, I know everyone needs sleep to survive, but when I tell you I need sleep, like, oh my gosh, I need sleep. When I get anything less than 8 hours, I'm like, you are literally going to be the worst person in the world today. And I am. On Saturday, I woke up and I wasn't even hungover. I was just exhausted. I went to bed at 4:00 in the morning because to get from Brixton to where I live in Surrey, when you miss the last train, it's about an hour's tube. And luckily, both of the tube lines that I needed were running night tubes on the weekend, because otherwise I literally would have been fucked. So I get back to the tube station. I get a £20 Uber home. Ooh, double homicide. I get into my bed and I'm emotional Chella. I think I had a bit of a cry then as well, to be honest with you. Oh, let me tell you why I was emotional this day. Obviously, I'm already feeling the effects of my period. I know that my period is looming. I'm supposed to start it on the 17th. I get home, on the Friday. Was it the Friday or the Thursday? I can't remember. But for context, if you didn't already know, I feel like most people that watch me will know that I have a really, really, really bad habit, or like, I don't even know what you'd call it, compulsion, obsession with picking my skin. It's like, I'll do it all the time, but if I'm stressed or I'm sad or I'm anxious, it is like catastrophically worse, where I will literally just pick at things that aren't there. And my brain has this kind of weird, it kind of links into what I was saying last week about like how people think I display OCD like behaviors, but I will pick and pick and pick, and I cannot, it's like I physically can't stop picking until like my brain finds a spot that's like satisfying enough to like end on that one. And it's not just my face, I do it on my chest as well. And I've actually branched out to my legs recently. New development, which is fun because I've run out of places on my face and my chest. So before I went out on Friday night, I had to smother my chest in a face mask, in the Mask of Magnanimity, goated mask from Lush, by the way. And I was like, oh my God, I feel so ugly. And I couldn't wear any sort of low cut top, any top that like didn't cover my entire chest, because I was like, people are going to stare at you and they're going to think you're repulsive. And those thoughts are horrid. And I know that they're not all real and there's not truth to a lot of them, but it doesn't mean that they go away just because I know that they're not true. And when you're in that headspace anyway, you are like struggling to kind of see sense. And then the next day, on the Saturday, I went out for breakfast. Was it breakfast? No, it was like lunch. And I went to see The End of Oak Street with Lara, which, can I just say, I fucking hated that film. I thought it was so bad. I saw someone rate it like 4 stars on Letterboxd. I thought, you're fucking cooked. You're actually cooked. And it wasn't even, Lara was like, it was so bad that it was good. She really, like, she found it funny and enjoyable in that way. And in my eyes, I hated it. I would never, ever watch that film again. Ever. It was just so bad. Why are there dinosaurs hitting Doggy in the back with Ewan McGregor stood there like, no, I don't want to see that. That is literally not what the fans want to see. It was just no. I didn't like it. Anyway, and then I came home. When I drove to the library to pick up a book, the library was shut because of the heat. And I thought, oh, even when someone says, oh, it's hot at the moment, I'm like, do not say that to me. Do not say that to me because I'm going to fucking freak you out. Anyway, so I get to the library, I'm like, oh, it's closed. And I'm vlogging at this point, and I'm like, oh my God, like, these are the end times. I come home, I sit on the toilet. What do I see when I wipe? I see red, oh, red. I see red. And I was like, okay, like, my period has finally started. This is litmus. This explains everything. Apart from then, it kind of went away for 2 days. And then it really came back. Well, a day and a bit. It came back in full force on Sunday night, which made sense because that was when I was like meant to start my period anyway. So yippee-ki-yay, my period is here. Apart from now, I've had really bad, yesterday I had such bad stomach cramps where I literally just, it constantly felt like I was either going to shit or like give birth. Like, that's how bad something, it felt like it was pushing down on me, but it also felt like something was trying to claw its way out of me. And let me tell you something right now. Neither of those things are enjoyable unless you're like #sucker for pain. Okay, controversial opinion. I like the Suicide Squad film, like the one with, when was it, 2016? With Will Smith. I had such a lady boner for him when I watched that film for the first time. My God. Anyway, so yeah, my period has been kicking my ass basically, and I have been very, very emotional because of it. Anything and everything is making me cry at the moment. The other day I went to Sainsbury's. This is actually insane. The other day I went to Sainsbury's. I was like, oh, I need to get some little components for... Wait, why was I in Sainsbury's? I can't remember. Anyway, I parked downstairs underground, obviously, because I have underground bias. And I go in to go up the escalator, travelator, whatever you call it. Travel later. Anyway, I go in and there's this Timpson's key cutting machine, right? And on the screen, there is a man key cutting. It's a video. I start tearing up and crying because I feel bad for him and I want to help him get out of it. Huh? Oh my gosh. If any psychiatrists are watching this, I've said this before, what are we thinking? Straitjacket? Section? I don't know. Lobotomy? I'm just, what? Are you mental? I took a picture of it in the end because I was like, this poor guy. Bearing in mind, the screen is probably like not even A3. This guy's 2 apples tall. And I'm there like, yeah, I need to help him get out. Oh my God. You need to get out of here. You need to get out of your own brain because you are actually cooked. You're cooked. You're done. You're absolutely done. And it, oh no. Oh, no. Terrible. And what's so funny as well, I was saying this in my vlog, when before my period, like before my luteal phase, I don't cry that much in the month anymore. I feel like I don't really have much to cry about. It takes a lot now, especially like I'll cry at like a film or a book or a TV show, whatever. But when it comes to, or like music, but when it comes to like my own personal woes, you know, woe is me after all, it takes me a while to sort of get to a place where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna cry and I'm gonna commit to it. So recently I was like, oh, maybe I just can't cry anymore. Like, oh my god, my crying days are behind me. No, they've just been saved up. They've been saved up and they have been coming out in any which way. Today, non-stop crying. Today more feels like, obviously everything is heightened because of my period, but at the moment, or today, it feels more like I feel like an emotional sponge. I feel like I am really just absorbing everyone around me's feelings and their worries and their concerns and their troubles. And right, like obviously no one wants to see the people they love and care about upset or going through a hard time, but there is also like most of these things that like I know of, or like worries or concerns that like my friends or my family are having, I can't do anything about it, right? So hearing about it, I just absorb it like it's my own problem to fix. Not that it is, because it's not. And then I just sit and I worry about it. And not just that, I worry about all the people it affects and what the effect of it is going to be on them and all these different things. And then I sit there and I think, oh my god, you literally have enough to worry about on your own. Not that I have like a super stressful life, because that is not what I'm saying at all. But it's more like I'm anxious enough on my own, let alone with like all these added things of like, I wonder if this person's okay, or like how's it going to affect this person, and what can I do to help? I can't do anything. Okay, and I'm really trying at the moment to like harness my anxiety and just worry about the things that I can control. But that is so much easier said than done. Like, I know that there are so many things in my life that if I'm feeling bad about it, I try and think of like everything that I can do in like my realm to improve it. And if I've done those things and it's still not improving, or if it's not in my hands, if it's bigger than I am, what, like me worrying about it every day, every night, consistently, what is it going to do? It's not going to do anything for me. It's going to make me feel worse. And so it doesn't make it easier to hear that people I love and I care about are going through difficult things or like having a bad time. But I also have to remember that like it, and the other thing as well is like these people aren't asking me to solve their problems. That's not what it is. But as a person, I feel very like protective, and I want to help people, you know. I don't want to sit there like and be like, oh well, you know, what can you do? I try and give my advice. I try and offer like my services, question mark, where I can. But there's only, like I said, there's only so much one person can do, and it's a lot. It's just hard, and I'm obviously, like I said, very emotional. As a person, I'm very emotional. I'm very sensitive. I'm an overthinker. All of those things are true. And then add my period on top of it. So all of my senses are heightened. I'm very hormonal. I'm very emotional. And chuck on top of that PMDD. Oh my gosh. You wanna see the asylum where they raised me? It is hell and horror. So the last few days, or the last week or so maybe, I have been struggled Shella. And when I say everything's been making me cry, my mum sent me a picture of my dad as a baby the other day. I was in this bar in Brixton, got the text on my phone, looked at it while I'm waiting for the my drinks. I just start crying. I cried when I met Bulldog. I cried in the lorry today multiple times. I cried to my nana. I cried to my mum. I cried to Tilly on Snapchat video the other day. I cried wearing my face mask. I cried on my vlog. I'm not going to cry on here because I feel like that might not. And although I do think crying is productive, I don't know if it'll be the most productive thing right now because there's bigger fish to fry. You know, well, my mental health is obviously a pretty big fish and it is pretty fried. But, you know, anyway. Also, not related, but what do you think of this headband? Can't decide if I look chopped and unk or not. Also, that's another thing. My birthday's coming up. Naturally, when my birthday's coming up, when I say that, my birthday's on the 11th of September. But to me, that's coming up. Like, I booked a table at a restaurant tonight. Like, bello. But my birthday, I love my birthday, okay? I'm the worst person in the world when it comes to my birthday. I'm having a birthday get-together. I'm going to Amsterdam with my mum before my birthday. I'm going to Norway with Lara after my birthday. I have plans for my birthday eve, my birthday Boxing Day. I have plans for all of it, okay? I'm getting myself a new tattoo. I'm doing all these different things, right? But the most important thing, and what I really need to book, is a session of therapy, because every year I have a therapy session before my birthday to sort of speak about, and it kind of helps me round up the year and sort of like, I guess, have a bit of perspective on like things that I've done and how I'm feeling. Because to me, as much as I love my birthday and there's so many happy feelings, it's just very emotional, because you obviously spend time with the people you love around your birthday, and I love spending time with the people I love, but naturally that also brings me a sense of just being very emotional, because I'm full of gratitude, but then also like my anxiety in the back of my mind is like, soak it up while you can. And it's like, girl, who invited you? No one. You're not invited to this party. You're NFI. You're not flippin' invited, you know? So I do need to book therapy, because my birthday in a sense is sort of like New Year, where New Year I feel like these great expectations and pressure to make sure that I'm like the best version of myself, and I have all these things that I want to achieve and I want to do, and then it just feels like there's, you know, you put so much pressure on yourself that you can't really enjoy all these things. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm just, one thing about me, I don't feel like I've ever been relaxed a day in my life, ever. Like, there are things that I find relaxing and there are things that I love doing. I've said this so many times. If I think genuinely, the way that I could preserve my peace the most is by never leaving my house again. Because then nothing can get to me. Like, if I'm in my house, sorry, that's just yeah, anyway. If I'm in my house, you know, it's like, no outside forces, no outside evils, you know, it's just me, Mama and Poogan, and my brother Alex, obviously, and the boys, you know, it's just, yeah. Basically, I feel like I've been going insane, and I speak about it in my vlog. Like, I spoke about it at length in my vlog. When I cried, I had the face mask on. That was when I was speaking to my vlog, and that really helps me, speaking about things and it going out to people that I don't see day to day. Like, obviously therapy helps me a lot, but I haven't had therapy since May, because I was like, oh, I'm just going to book another session. Not the lisp. I'm going to book another session when I feel like I need one. And I feel like I've needed one for maybe a little while now, but I've been kind of like, oh, I'll just wait for it before my birthday, and then I'll just give her all the lowdown of the past few months and the roundup of being 24, which I think there is a lot. Maybe that is another thing subconsciously. There's a lot there. Turning 24. I turned 24 last year. Okay. Doy. I turned 24 last year in Paris with my ex-boyfriend. And I had a really, really good birthday. I had like my ex-boyfriend, he really made a lot of effort, and I can't fault him on that, because he knew how much my birthday means to me. My mum and dad made a lot of effort. I saw all my loved ones. Lara made loads of effort. Like, there's no like bad feelings around my last birthday. But obviously as well, that birthday, I had different ideas of what being 24 would be compared to what it has been. Obviously, I had no idea that we were going to break up literally like 4 months later. And I had no idea what I would be doing. I didn't know if I'd have like a new job. I didn't know if I would still be living at home, because me and my ex-boyfriend, oh my F, me and my ex-boyfriend had discussed moving in together, even though low-key that was never going to happen, but whatever, because I didn't want to move. I still don't. Like I've said, I just want to stay in this damn house. I want to stay in my enclosure. But, you know, there's a lot there. So maybe it's like, oh my God, those videos on YouTube, expectation versus reality, like that is kind of maybe what I'm just like adjusting to. That obviously I love to have control over things. I hate surprises. I love to know what's going on, but sometimes you kind of just have to live or let live. Like, you have to just let things play out the way they're supposed to. And yes, my life doesn't look anything like the way I thought it would, but that's kind of fun. And it's kind of for the best as well, because low-key, I am pretty happy. Like, I know I said I'm really, like, emotional at the moment, but I'm not necessarily sad. I'm very busy, okay? I'm very busy and I'm very overwhelmed at the moment. Being busy always overwhelms me, okay? I have 4 gigs and festivals coming up in the next week, and am I excited for them? Yes. Do I want to go? No. No, I don't want to do that. Genuinely, when I tell people that, like, going to a festival or a concert brings me so much anxiety, I don't think anyone gets it, because in my brain, the first thing I think about is, what if I can't get home? And that's always the first thing I'm worrying about. What if I can't get home? How am I going to get home? What if the trains are delayed? What if there's a tube strike? What if this? What if that? No, I can't just enjoy it, because that's just how my brain is. I'm, like I said, very anxious, very sensitive, easily thrown off as well, like routine, anything like that. Like, my ex-boyfriend thought I had autism, and apparently so did the doctors, but he thought I had autism because he said to me once, I have never met someone who is so, like, deeply affected by plans changing, not being in control, surprises, like anything being thrown off. Like, if he was like, if you think the day is going to go a certain way and then it doesn't, he was like, you're thrown off for the whole day. And I can admit that's the truth. And also, I get into these foul moods. And I would be, oh my God, I'm just a very difficult person, which is why I'm like, oh my God, no one's ever going to love me again, because I don't think I'm an easy person to be in a relationship with, because I'm not. And I'm not an easy person in general. But that doesn't mean I don't like who I am. The other day I was thinking to myself how much I like myself as a person, because I think to my core I'm a good person. I have bad traits. I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means, but I'm very unapologetically myself, and I think that's the best thing you can be. And I love myself. I love who I am, and I always think to myself, who I am has gotten me this far. Not in the sense of like I'm super successful and rich. Well, I would say I'm successful in my own right, but I would also say everything that I've sort of faced so far in my life. Sorry, this sounds really deep, but like it kind of is, because everything that I don't want to say gone through, because it makes me sound like a massive victim, but everything that I've faced, every like hard time or bad guy or whatever, like a friendship breakup, whatever, I've got through all of that. Even if it still affects me, I'm still here. And there was a time where that wasn't guaranteed, you know? So it's hard, because I say that, but in the same breath, I'm like, I feel like I'm an extremely hard person to love. And my friends never, ever make me feel that way. And my parents never make me feel that way. Oh my God, maybe I am going to get emotional. Bro, you'd think I'd run out by now. While stocks last, these tears ain't going nowhere. I'm just shifting units here. But in terms of love, I've always felt like I'm kind of a difficult person to love, because I am a lot. And I'm, like I said, I'm unapologetically myself, so I won't just change for someone. And this is why I'm very protective over like myself and my personality, but also like the things that have happened to me, because obviously I tell people about things that have happened to me, and I tell like my therapist and whatever, but like I'm the only one that's lived through all of them, so I'm very defensive when it comes to that. So me being a difficult person to be with in terms of like the way things affect me, like change, like plans changing and stuff like that, I can't help it. But I also understand that it can be a lot for other people to deal with. Like we used to go out to places, and he'd be like, what time do we need to leave? And I just wouldn't tell him. I can't tell you why. I would just withhold the information, and then I would get stressed and angry, and he would be like, well, and he said to me, when he said about thinking that I might have autism, he was like, I want to know the details of like the plans you've made, so that I can try and help you through getting ready and being there on time, and like making sure the plans go smoothly and we like everything follows the routine. He was like, but you won't let me in. And yeah, so maybe I'm an awful person, maybe, but it's hard. It's hard for me to let people in, especially romantically. The other day, it was Sunday, I was sat in my bed, best place to be, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to re-download Hinge. Oh my God, did I fuck? There's no way. Okay, there's literally no way. But I was like, I was craving a relationship on a Sunday. I was thinking, what is it about a Sunday evening that's like, oh, I would really like a partner right now? No. 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 I'm trying to remember when the last podcast episode was. It was 2 weeks ago, so it must have been after Pride. Yeah. So recently I've just been like, oh, yeah, because I got emotional about my ex-boyfriend, and that was after Pride, yeah. But yeah, recently I'm just like, oh my God, I would love to be in a relationship one day, but then I'm also like so happy with how my life looks right now, spending time with my friends, going out, doing things for me. It's literally been Contentchella over on my Maisie Fuller account on my main channel, vlogging, posting chatty videos, like everything that I enjoy doing. And then sometimes I'm like, would it be so bad to add someone into that equation? No, but I also feel like I don't know how to open up. And then I don't know, it's difficult. And with my period as well, like it's really, I just feel like maybe I'm a lot to take in like big doses, and like being in a relationship with me, you're gonna hear from me 24/7. You're getting the live updates, you're getting TMZ news, you know. And I don't know, it's hard. And now I'm trying to look at what else I wrote in my notes. Guys, my parcel is on the way. This is absolutely this is not related at all, but my parcel is on the way because I found a clothing brand that can make t-shirts and like backless tops and backless bodysuits for women with huge boobs. So I've ordered something and I'm going to try it out and let you know if it's any good. So I'm very excited about... Oh my gosh! Wow. Okay, wait, I'm very excited about that. What I just reacted to, live react... At the beginning of this year, I made a dream board. Oh, sorry. Mum's watching the Great British Sewing Bee, and she just shut my windows. Oops, she don't want to hear my shit. But at the beginning of the year, I made this like dream board, vision board for the year, which I did last year as well, which was really helpful to try and really put down on paper like what I wanted to achieve, what I wanted to do. And to be fair, I've done a few of the things on that vision board already, like small circle, focus on my loved ones, like my family, read 40 books, done, drink more water, save money, not done, whatever, festivals, low-key done, coming up 4 more, fuck, what was the other one? Trip to Norway, coming up, God willing, thank you very much, but one of them was reach 4,500 subscribers on my main account, on my main channel, and I just did. Literally, you just saw my live reaction. I can't believe that. That is what I wanted by the end of the year. So when I first posted my video saying that me and my ex-boyfriend had broken up, like loads of people found me from that and on Maisie Supreme. And I've steadily grown, and this is like crazy growth for me. I know some people are going to be like, wow, you've only gained that many in this. Oh, shut up. Okay. It's not all about numbers for me. It's about the fact that this is like an outlet for me to speak about how I'm feeling. And 4,500 people are like tuned into that. Like, this is crazy. Like, can you not tell that I'm standing on business, or whatever Justin Bieber said? Like, oh my gosh. Do you think I'll get invited to the Met Gala now? Would I go? I couldn't possibly say. Anyway, what was I even saying? Oh, about my period. My skin picking episode. Yeah, I had the worst skin picking episode. Oh, I wrote needing ear defenders. Because every single day recently, there has been a noise so bad in the day that has like upset me that I have to like pin or like push my ears shut. And I was thinking, how great would it have been if they took girls' mental health and like neurodivergency issues serious when I was young. Like now it's more spoken about and looked into. I can tell you maybe one girl I knew in school, in the whole of our school, had autism or Asperger's that we knew about. And everyone else was just suffering in silence, me included, not to be woe is me, but like how much easier my life would have been if someone was like, let's actually try and see why you're struggling and why you can't come into school because you're so overwhelmed. And maybe this is another part of it. At the moment, I just feel overwhelmed by everything, by plans, by going out, by talking to people, by seeing people, everything feels overwhelming. I'm not in a reading slump as such because I am reading, like, but the book I'm reading at the moment might be adding to things more than I realize. I spoke about it a little bit in my vlog, but I'm currently reading Know My Name by Chanel Miller, which is a fantastic book. There is like nothing wrong with this book, but it is quite heavy. Trigger warning, I'm going to speak about like sexual assault and things like that, and I don't know how long for, so if I'll put like a timestamp on the screen just in case you're watching this and you want to skip ahead. But the book is about the story of Chanel Miller, who was the girl that was raped outside a Stanford frat party in 2015. January 2015, she was found unconscious behind a dumpster by two Swedish guys, and they pinned down the rapist, Brock Turner, and she went through like a 4-year like grueling court cases and just all this like back and forth of like trying to get a conviction against him and whatever. And she wrote an open letter, I think, to him under the name Emily Doe, and she spoke about like how the cases affected her and her life, and I think it was viewed 11 million times within 4 days on BuzzFeed. I could be getting those numbers wrong, but it was something along those lines, and it became this huge thing that people spoke about. And then I'm not 100% sure when the Me Too movement was really at its like peak, but obviously it urged a lot of women to come forward with their stories and speak out. And the thing is, that book is so important, and I'm not going to not read it because it's, like I said, I'm not enjoying reading it. That sounds wrong, but like it's nice to read from her standpoint, what happened, how it made her feel, how it affected her life. I just think she's amazing. I think she's an amazing woman. There was a chapter that really, last Friday, I think it was, yeah, so I was already feeling very emotional and obviously my period was looming. But there was a chapter, it really got me. I was crying in the lorry, of course, in the fucking lorry. And she says about how when the two Swedish guys found her, they checked that she was okay first, and then they chased after the fucking evil man who did that to her. And they were like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you doing that? Why are you smiling? This is nothing to laugh about. Like, can you not see she's unconscious? And she was like, I finally found the strength to be like, what the fuck did you do to me? Like, what are you doing to me? And it was just, it gives you chills. And I've also got the book at the moment as well from the library, Hymn to Life. I don't know how you pronounce the lady's name. Is it Giselle? Who was drugged by her own husband and raped by, what was it, over 50 different men, and she had no recollection of it. And it happened in France, and she's been going to court to speak about the hearings and stuff. Like, sorry, I'm not explaining this very well, but basically those books, they're obviously very heavy, but they're extremely important. And I think I would urge anyone to read them if you are in the right headspace. Obviously, if that's something that's going to bring up old trauma and it's going to send you on a downward spiral, like, obviously I wouldn't recommend reading it. But I feel like if you're in the right headspace and you can read it without like, it's going to affect you no matter who you are. I feel like if you have feelings, if you have empathy and you care about women, it's going to affect you. But like, I feel like you have to mentally be in a place where you're like, okay, I can read this and I'm going to be okay reading it. Because when I'm reading it at the moment, I guess because I already feel so emotional, it's bringing up a lot of feelings. But it's kind of, it's strange. It's really made me reconsider how I have approached experiences like this in my own life. And basically, I don't even know how to say it, but like, to cut a long story a bit short, a few years ago, five years ago this year, I had an experience where, and I'm going to speak about it because I've always been very scared to speak about this in particular, because I'm always like, what if the person who is also involved in this experience hears this, or he finds out, or he accuses me of lying, or he sends me horrible messages, or he finds me, like, because that's how my brain works. I also have this insane fear that one day my ex-boyfriend, who was just awful and very abusive and just very, very, very nasty to me, who I dated when I was 18, okay, so very pivotal age. And bearing in mind, I was an 18-year-old and I felt mature in a lot of ways, but that was also like 16, 17, 18 was when I was the most ill mentally. Like I wasn't allowed to have medication left around me. I kind of always sort of had someone to keep an eye on me. I was never at college. Like, I didn't go to school for a long time. I was avidly self-harming. Like, I was going through a really difficult time in those ages. So I feel like I kind of regressed back to a childlike state because I needed support and constant, like, reassurance from people. Otherwise, I just spiraled and went into these very unhealthy places. Anyway, so when I was with him, it took me a long time to even understand that what he had been doing to me was abuse. And there was a time that I went to the doctor because I had a crippling UTI. I know my girls feel that when you're drinking litres of cranberry juice at a time. And I went to my doctor and I told her, I was like, oh, you know, like, it's just because da-da-da-da. And it was kind of awkward because my doctor she's been my doctor since I was a newborn baby, but I love her down. But I sort of said to her, like, you know, this, that, and the other. And she said to me, do you use protection when you have sex? And I said, like, sometimes, but he doesn't want to. And when I was saying this wasn't like a cry for help or like trying to get someone to understand what I was going through, because I didn't know this was wrong. I didn't know, like, no one had, I don't think consent is spoken about enough, and what is defined as consent and what is defined as not consent, and more so what is defined as sexual assault and rape. And I remember my doctor said to me, she was like, oh, like, why wouldn't you use it? And I was like, oh, he doesn't like using it. And I would say to him, like, we can use a condom. And every single time a man will go, oh, I don't have one. And then you will say as the woman, oh, I have them. And then my ex-boyfriend used to be like, well, no, then I don't want to. And I would be like, oh, okay. Like, and then he would make me feel so guilty that I would just then be like, oh, it's fine. Like, we can just do it anyway. And he was cheating on me with, I don't even know how many other girls. So there was the risk of pregnancy, the risk of STDs, all of these different, and the UTI as well on top of that. And it was my doctor who said to me, that counts as rape. And I was like, oh my God. And at that time, when she told me, it was like straight over my head. 18, or to me, when I was that age, I thought rape was just like someone forcing you to have sex and like pinning you down and you're like kicking and screaming. I didn't know it could exist in different forms. So I think mentally, to like protect myself, I just didn't even acknowledge that comment, because I was like, I can't, if I acknowledge it, like, it's going to take me somewhere bad. And then the same way that I didn't know that what he was doing was physical abuse or sexual abuse or emotional abuse until I told someone else, and they were like, that's not normal and that's not okay. And I'll literally never forget it. When I was in college, my friend Abby, she really went through it with me, and she was the only one that kind of knew everything about him. And she was like, Maisie, you're like an Easter egg. She was like, because it feels like you're hollow in the inside. She was like, you're kind of just there, but nothing's there. And like, when I started college, I was like so outgoing, so bubbly, so loud, like trying to make all these friends. And by the end, when my relationship with him was ending, I was like a shell of a person. I think I was just existing, but I wasn't living. And it kind of also felt like I was watching myself from like a higher, like I was just watching myself, like I was on autopilot, just day to day, going to college, going into college, being overwhelmed, coming home from college, not doing anything, crying, sitting, waiting for him to text me. He would not text me for days and days and days on end, right? But anyway, my point with that was, I'm always scared that one day he will come for me, if that's in like phone call, I don't know how he'd have my number at this point, over like Instagram, anything, like find where I am and accuse me of lying and telling me that like none of that happened and you made it all up and like you're trying to make me look bad, even though I've never once said his name, I've never said where he's from, like I've never doxed him in that sense. And that's like a genuine fear of mine, because my memories of him are so distorted, I don't know how you say it, distorted, because I think I blocked out so much of the stuff that happened with him as, again, protection for myself, because I was like, if I take on and I absorb everything he's doing and I choose to remember it, not even that I was going to be choosing to remember it, but just remembering it because you remember things, obviously. I think I knew, part of me knew that I was like, I'm not going to survive. I'm not going to get through it. So I just was like, okay, if I don't think about it, if I don't acknowledge it, if I don't let it sink in, it was like armor. It was like armor, because I didn't tell anyone. I didn't, even my friend Abby at college, even my friends, even my family, I didn't tell anyone the stuff he was doing to me. And that is extremely isolating, and I would never recommend doing that. And I wouldn't recommend the things that I'm saying, but I was 18, I was a baby. And I still feel like I am a baby, which is why when I'm like, oh, I'm turning 25, I'm like, no, because I'm literally one. Like, no. But I was so young, and I didn't know that was wrong. And he was just a classic narcissist. He would say all these awful things to me. He would criticize my appearance. He would brag about the girls he was cheating on me with. And then he would be like, but no one gets me like you. And then he would tell me he loves me, and then the next day he'd be like, if I ever tell you I love you, it's either because I'm drunk or we're having sex. And like, he was addicted to drugs, and like all of these things, bearing in mind, had never existed in my realm, in my world. I never did drugs growing up. I never really drank. I didn't smoke. I was scared of everything. I was such a goody two shoes at school. I hated getting in trouble, very close with my parents. He had a very fragmented relationship with his parents. He had obviously a lot of trauma. He had some really weird friends, and we were from two different worlds. So when he came into my world, it's like everything changed, but I don't even think like I scratched the surface. Like he obviously didn't care about me. He didn't love me, and that was maybe the hardest thing for me to accept. But also, like, maybe the worst part of it was like knowing that someone is capable of doing that to you, and they willingly do it. Like, and I think to myself all the time, like, I never ever did anything malicious towards him. I never did anything to hurt him. I was so obsessed with him. I thought I loved him. It was definitely not love, like, be for real. But like, I just gave everything to him, and so I had nothing. And he literally did. He just drained all the life out of me. And then when there was nothing left for him to take, it was like, okay, yeah, I'm done with you now. And I was like, I was 18, and then lockdown happened and my horse died. Triple threat. So I had no choice but to then confront everything. But even then, I didn't know that these things were bad until someone was like, oh, that's abuse. And I was like, no, it's not. Because as well, I was that stupid bitch in school. They would show you like these ads against like stalking and like pedophiles and like abuse, and I would be there like, oh my god, if you're getting abused, why wouldn't you just leave? And then God was like, okay, you try. Go on, give it a go. Doesn't work, does it? Literally. And so yeah, I don't know, that period of my life is still very shaky to me, because I have a lot of guilt in that time, because I really feel like I put my parents through it, not intentionally, obviously, and like, I know I shouldn't feel guilt, because it's like I was literally just trying to survive, like, day by day, because I would wake up next to him, I would be sick. I'd wake up to a text from him, I would be sick. He would call me, I would be sick. Literally, my body was rejecting him, but I was like, oh my god, it's butterflies because I'm in love. Go. I remember I told him I thought I was pregnant. He went, that's a you problem. Oh, ooh. Oh, that's not. My mum literally was like, I think he might have given you HIV. I was like, okay. But all these different things, and I was just trying to work it out, and it's impossible. And so reading about other women's stories, it's like, it really makes you confront your own past. And the other thing, I kind of started to speak about it, but then I didn't. So that relationship was when I was 18. So that was obviously like 2019, 2020 was when it ended. We weren't together for very long, believe it or not. It was like the longest, most intense 4 months of my life. But anyway, in 2021, so bearing in mind I just turned 20, and at this time in my life I was working at a job that was, the job itself was fine. The place I worked was cursed. I loved the people I worked with though. That summer, 2021 summer, was so good. I had so much fun. I had a crush on a boy that had a girlfriend. He was a massive knob. We've all been there. And then he went back to uni, and I thought I fell in love head over heels with a bald 30-year-old man. I've dabbled in this before. Maybe one day I'll give the whole story, but I genuinely was like, baby, where the hell is my husband? Wait, he's right here. It's this bald man that's 10 years older than me, right? Just fresh out of like a 5-year long relationship. Girl that never learns. Me. Anyway, so at this time, I'm ginger as well. Okay, I'll set the scene. My brother's ex-girlfriend's having a birthday party for her 21st, okay? And like I said, I've never really told this story because I've sort of hinted at it or told parts of it, but it's always felt extremely hard, like, to confront. Not because I have guilt or, like, I don't know. It's just like, I guess I'm just been scared. And it's not like me. I never shy away from, like, a subject that's hard to talk about, or, like, a story about my life or whatever. But it's like, I think this has affected me way deeper than I ever thought it had, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, so 2021, my brother's ex-girlfriend has a party for her 21st birthday. And it's like, what theme was it? Like prom themed? I can't remember. Or like red carpet themed. So I was ginger, gorgeous, and I wore this really beautiful long like emerald green dress. And I looked leng, naturally. The guy that I had a crush on in college in sociology popped up to my story. I was like, okay, I've won. Guys, step aside. But obviously I thought I was in love with this bald man at this point. And this bald man, we'd been on a weekend away to the New Forest together, which I paid for. Oh my God, get up. And it was kind of weird though, because he was really bad at communicating. And obviously he must have been like, oh, maybe I'm an absolute freak for being like entertaining this 20-year-old girl when I've just broken up with the woman that I was with for 5 years and thought I was going to get married and have kids too, and then I just broke up with her and now I live with my parents again. Like, anyways, it was a very confusing time, and he just was so, I don't even know, he was just so strange. Anyway, so we're going to this party. We get there. Bearing in mind, okay, a little bit of context, I'm a massive lightweight. And also another bit of context that's very important. When I drink, I'm never sick on the night. I get hangovers like nobody's business, but I'm never sick whilst I'm drinking, okay? So keep that in mind. So we get to this party. It's fun. We're dancing. We're having fun. I go and order a drink. Me and my brother are like, oh, let's get drunk. My brother that is, okay, so my middle brother, Alex, it was his ex-girlfriend. My other brother, Evan, we're like, oh, let's get drunk. But I don't drink much, okay? I may have had 2 drinks and then an apple sour shot, God forbid. Anyway, this man shows up. For context, this man is one of my brother's old friends. I don't think they're friends anymore. I'd like to fucking think they're not. I don't think they are. Anyway, that's not what this is about. He has known me since I was 14, okay? He's been friends with my brother this long, so over 6, dare I say, or 7 years. So he's known him for a long time, and he's known me that entire time because we've looked after his animals before. He's been around to our house. He's brought girlfriends to meet my mum and dad, like all these different things, okay? And every single time I've spoken to him, he was a really nice guy, really like just very, very sweet. My mum had a soft spot for him. Like, she was like, oh, he's such a lovely boy, whatever. So he's at this party. He comes up to me. He says that I look nice. He's like, how have you been? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. At this point, I'm already kind of feeling the drinks, but I've drank quite a lot in quick succession. So my mum's like, okay, maybe like you should slow down. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I stopped drinking at that point, right? And so he comes up to me and he I don't even know what he said, but it was, he asked if he could take me out. And I was like, oh, like, don't know about that. Mention the guy that I'm like in love with at my work. And he was like, oh, like, where's he going to take you? Like, making a joke, whatever. I'm like, okay, like, nothing's wrong. But there are so many parts of this night that I don't remember. Maybe you can see where this is going. Anyway, we go up to the bar, me and this guy, because at this point he's not being weird. Like, he's my brother's friend, and he is 7 years older than me. So he's 27 at this point, and I'm 20. He goes up to the bar, he's ordering drinks, and then I can't really remember much, but I do remember him being like, let me show you a magic trick. And he got something from behind my ear, and I was like, oh, wow, huh. And I didn't know this at the time, but my dad was like across the room and he could see us at the bar. And then he gave me a drink, not my dad, the guy. And I drank it, and I was like, oh, I'm really, really lightheaded. Like, this isn't good. I'm then talking to my brother's other friends. There was also a guy that my brother's friends with that I was like, oh, he's really good looking. I was chatting to him, but like, obviously at this point I was like, I'm in love with my body. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm sat outside talking to my brother's ex-girlfriend, all of their friends, whatever. And then I'm like, oh my God, I feel really sick. I go into the toilet and I just projectile vomit everywhere. Like, everywhere. And I was thinking, what the hell? Like, I'm really ill. Like, I'm really sick. And I have work the next morning, bearing in mind I'm working at like 9 a.m. So I was like, okay, something's not right. So my parents are like, we're leaving. And I was like, okay, I'm coming with you because I don't feel very well. So coming home is just me, my mum, and my dad. We go home. Still at the location is my two brothers, my brother's friend, the one that was doing the magic trick, and then everyone else that was at the party that I don't know. Okay? That night, I go up to my room. I'm so out of it. I feel so drunk and like not with it. I fall asleep on top of my bed, on top of the duvet, in my dress. Okay? Keep that in mind. And I'm in the middle of my bed. Just like laying in the middle, clothes on, everything. Right? The next morning I wake up when my alarm goes off for work, and I turn over, and bearing in mind I fell asleep in the middle of my bed on top of my duvet. I wake up under my duvet, I turn around and I see my brother's friend laying next to me, and immediately, I don't even know, like, you know when you just know that something's wrong, immediately I'm like, why, what, like what's going on? Then I realise I'm only wearing a bra. I have no dress on, no pants on, nothing. Just a bra. I don't know how I got under the bed. I don't know how I took off my pants and my dress. Because let me tell you something. Although obviously parts of this night are very blurry and there are parts I don't remember, I think I would have remembered waking up, taking off my dress, taking off my pants, and then getting under the bed. Okay? I also think I would have remembered someone coming into my room. My door was shut when I went to bed, by the way, and getting in underneath my covers against me. Okay? So I wake up, and obviously I'm like sort of stirring around a bit, like, what's going on? This man spoons me. Hello? He starts spooning me, and I'm like, oh. So I get up, walk over him, bearing in mind this is my family home. My parents are in the next bedroom. This is in my bedroom upstairs. This is why moving into this bedroom was such a massive thing for me, because it's like the one bedroom that I've never been abused in. Yes. Anyway, I open my parents' bedroom door and I'm like, why is Bleep here? And my mum was like, is he? I was like, he's in my bed. He wasn't in my bed when I got home. And so my mum's like, okay, like, have a shower, like, and I was like, I need to get ready for work. I'm having a shower. I'm crying naturally because I don't know what has happened between me passing out and me waking up and finding him there. I go and sit on my desk and he is awake in my bed watching me get ready. And oh my God, I'll literally never forget it. He was like, oh my God, it's like watching one of your YouTube videos live. And I was like, what is going on? I'm like, as I'm trying to get ready, I'm like choking back tears. And so I just pull on and then I have to get dressed in my room, and he's laying there and I know that so many people were like, well, why didn't you kick him out? Can you imagine how terrified I was in that moment? Can you imagine? This guy as well is like 6'5". He's he's strong. There are not, even if he wasn't 6'5", even if he was like 5'10" or whatever, I'm not that strong. I couldn't, if a man wanted to like overpower me, I would not be able to fight back. Like, that is just like, there's literally no way. Especially when I'm intoxicated. And genuinely, I don't know what happened, but from what I'm gathering, I was fucking, what is the word? Spiked because of the way I reacted after another drink, just throwing up everywhere, not being able to remember anything, all the rest, okay? Blacking out. Anyway, so I get ready, I go to work. I send Lara, oh my God, Lara genuinely, when I tell you she saved my life that day, but I'll get into it. I sent her videos. I actually have the videos saved on my Snapchat memories because I think I was like trying to work out what had happened later in the day. I sent her a video sobbing at work, and I was like, this has happened. I don't know how it happened. I don't know what's going on, like, and I don't know what he did to me. And bearing in mind as well, I cannot stop throwing up. I genuinely can't stop throwing up. I'm so sick. And so I go to work, and I speak to one of the girls I think I spoke to my friend Eloise, bless her, and she was like, you need to go home, like, you can't be here, like, this is not, like, this is a customer facing job, I'm working in a cafe, like, you can't, like, you need to go home, like, you need to have some time for yourself, make sure you're okay, like, this, what you've been through is awful. And I was like, okay. Went to the office, and the women in the office were like, you need to do a rape kit. And I was like, no, because I think in my heart I knew that if I did one and it came back that anything had happened, I just knew I wouldn't be able to take it. And looking back, if there was one thing I could change about this whole night, it wouldn't be like me not drinking or me not doing this, me not doing that. Because at the beginning of the night, I could never ever have predicted that was going to happen. I would have done a rape kit. That's what I would have changed. Because at least then I would have known. Because I still don't know what happened. Because you might be thinking, oh, we could have literally just like fell asleep in your bed. Why did I not have any pants on? Anyway, so the guy I actually had a crush on was back for Christmas, because this is right about Christmas, by the way. He gives me a lift to Lara's house. He was like, what happened? And I didn't really tell him what happened, but I was basically like, something bad happened. He gives me a lift to Lara's house. I sleep. Lara literally just nurses me back to health. I'm asleep in her bed all day. The best thing to happen from that day is this picture of me and Lara laying in bed, and I literally look like one of the grandparents in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because I've just passed out in her bed. She was like, should we put a film on? Because at this point I was like, yeah, I'm going to be able to stay awake. And so we put on Thor Ragnarok, comfort film. That's why it's got a very special place in my heart. And then every time I would like wake up a bit, I would fall straight back to sleep, wake up, be sick, come back, fall asleep, wake up, be sick, come back, all day until I could finally eat a kebab when she nursed me back to health. And I came home, because I was terrified to come home, because I found out that he spoke to my dad. My dad was like, what the fuck? And he was like, mate, like, I don't know what Maisie said, but all that happened was this, okay? This is his version of events. When my brother Evan came home, he was like, oh, Evan, I'll jump in an Uber with you because we're going the same way. And then Evan was like, okay, sure. Bearing in mind, he didn't live the same way. We live in Surrey. He lived the opposite direction, like going the opposite way. So that was a lie. And then he was like, oh, I might just crash at yours. I'm going to crash in Alex's room. He said it's okay because he's staying at his ex-girlfriend. So Evan was like, yeah, sure. Bearing in mind, this man at this point has been to our house multiple times over the last 6 years. He knows where Alex's room is. So at the time, I was in the bedroom upstairs. So you walk up the stairs. The first room you see is mine. The room on the right-hand side is my mum's. And then you go round to the left, follow the corridor, and then round again is my brother's room. And he's been in Alex's room multiple times. So he knows where Alex's room is, right? He says to my dad, I thought that I was walking into Alex's room when he walked into mine. And oh my God, this is what makes me so angry. He was like, Maisie was awake. She told me to come in, and we ended up having a conversation, and we both just fell asleep. Nothing happened. All of that is bullshit. Like, all of that is bullshit. I said to my dad, how could I have had a conversation with him when I couldn't even hold myself up? I couldn't even like get out of my dress on my own to fall asleep. there's no way I would have invited him in for a conversation. Not to mention, my parents are both really light sleepers, so they definitely would have heard that anyway. And I was like, he thought my room was Alex's. That's bullshit as well. Anyway, so then he texted me, he messaged me on Instagram, and he was like, hey, like, your dad said you were super freaked out this morning. Like, I just want you to know, like, nothing happened between us, as if anything had happened between us would have been like consensual, and that's what I'm worrying about, like worrying about us having slept together or something. No, I'm worrying that you raped me. That's what I'm worrying about, funnily enough. And so I never did a rape kit, and I never went to the police. And at first I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna go to the police. And then I had the awful realization that obviously so many women, probably all women, realize that if you go to the police and you haven't done a rape kit, because bearing in mind I'd already showered that morning, so anything that was on me was probably washed away, and if it wasn't, then I left it too long to do it anyway. But I knew the police would be like, well, it's your word against his, and we can't convict him because I don't think he had anything on his record previously. And I also knew they would believe him over me because he is a man and I am a woman. And that is like the most devastating realization to have. And whenever I think about this, I don't really get emotional anymore. There was a time where, like, if it even like crossed my mind, I'd be like, wow, I can't believe someone did that to me. Even if he didn't touch me, which I don't believe is the truth, because how did my clothes get taken off? But even just entering my room while I'm unconscious, you have violated every single boundary of mine. You've violated my personal space. There are so many things wrong with what he did. And I was like, okay, that day I had to get my mum to strip my bed. I couldn't even go back into my bedroom. Bearing in mind, I then had to live in that bedroom. I had to live in that bed. And what was even worse is the bed that I was sleeping in, the bed I woke up in, was a bed that was somewhat new, because I had to get rid of my old bed frame because I had such vivid, horrendous nightmares of my ex-boyfriend, because that is the bed that he'd slept in. So I'd got rid of a bed and I had to buy a new one to try and like overcome the awful, like, I guess it was somewhat PTSD, because like I couldn't go on the tube that went past his tube stop. I couldn't go on the M25 that was like going towards his house. And then I couldn't sleep in my bed. It was awful. I had to get a new bed. And then I got violated in this new one. Like, it was like so many different things about it. It was awful. And the dress it was as if it was taken off and thrown towards the end of my bed, because there was like a little gap between my bed and the wall that loads of stuff just fell down. I don't think I was able to pick up that dress till I moved into this new room, and I moved into this new room the following June. That's half a year, and I couldn't even look at it. I couldn't pick it up. My mum had to pick it up and get rid of it. My mum had to make the bedding that was on my bed that night like into something. She used it as like lining for something that she made, because I couldn't even look at it or like sleep with it on my bed. That's how bad it was. And I've never really had the courage to tell that story, because I never want it to come across like, oh, woe is me, I am the victim. But I guess in that story I was, because I don't know what he did to me, and I'll never know, because he'll never tell me the truth. And I didn't do the rape kit, and maybe I should have, gone to the police. But I wanted to go to the police when me and my ex-boyfriend finally split up, and I wanted to tell them that he used to abuse me and all this. And it was someone that was like, do you have any physical evidence? I was like, no. And they were like, well, then they're not going to believe you. Well, they're not going to care. They're not going to do anything. And that is why, when people ask me why I hate the police, I say, look at them at any Palestine march, first of all. And second of all, look at the way they treat women. Look at Sarah Everard. You think there's any reason for me to like the police? I'm not saying all police officers are bad. I'm not saying they're all corrupt. But the police, as like a system, fucked. I literally said I would rather fight for myself against something than call the police for help, because I just feel like they wouldn't help me, because I'm a woman. And it's awful. And I think the most awful thing about this story, apart from all of it, is that the next day I remembered, or maybe it was that night, I just like took mental note of it. when he was asking me if I would go for dinner with him, and when he was telling me how beautiful how beautiful I was and all the rest, and how he liked my dress and this, that, and the other, I said to him, don't you have a girlfriend? And I can't remember what he said. I don't think he had a girlfriend at the time. But then he said to me, and this is just like awful. Like, this is all awful. But he said to me, I've had a thing for you from the moment I met you. I was 14 when we met, and he was 21. And that didn't even compute in my brain, because I guess at the time, like, I always just saw him like, because my brother, Alex, who he was friends with, Alex is only 3 years older than me. So his friend was a bit older than him. So I kind of just saw him as like one of Alex's mates. And I was like, you know, if I was 14, they would have been like 16, still weird, but not as bad. So then when I really deeped the age difference, and I said to him, you've always had a girlfriend, like every time you've come around. He was like, I know, but like I've always had a thing for you. And I was like, oh my God, you've come into my own house where I'm supposed to feel safe, where all of my family members like you and trust you and do you favors, and you've just, been sexualizing me this entire time? When you were what I believed to be, when I was 14, a trusted adult, and actually you've just been a predator this entire time. And then you preyed on me this whole night. You lied to my dad's face saying you thought my room was Alex's room. And then you messaged me being very dismissive, as if like, if there was anything that happened, it was like a joint effort, and just trying not to be like in any part of it. Naturally, I didn't reply to the message and I blocked him. And then he actually messaged my brother after, because my brother didn't say anything to him. Like, he just didn't, like, after that, they didn't speak. And he was like, hey, like, can we meet up? Like, I feel like I want to explain a few things. And my brother was like, there isn't anything to say, mate. Like, well, I don't even think he said mate. I can't even remember exactly what he said, but he said something along the lines of like, what is there to say? Which I appreciated, because like, he could have gone, he could have done whatever. But I think that has taken such an impact on me. And sort of like, to go back to what I was saying about relationships and how I see myself in relationships and how I struggle in relationships, it's because I've felt like damaged goods for so long, because men have treated me so awfully. So then when I got into my relationship with my last ex-boyfriend, when we got together, his love was so pure and so good and so healthy, I didn't know what to do with it. And so I would start arguments, because that just felt like the only way I knew how to communicate. And so he was like, what is wrong with you? Why are you always arguing? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And in my mind, that was the way that a relationship works. And so there is still a lot for me to work on in that sense. But like, I guess it makes sense as to why I just have always felt as if like I'm not worthy of being in a relationship, because I don't know how to like receive healthy love. And it's difficult, but reading this book, honestly, and I'm sorry this got really heavy. I'd like to think it wasn't, like, it is a heavy subject, but I can speak about it with humour, and I can try and make lighthearted jokes and stuff, because I am okay. Like, I am. Reading this book has made me like confront a lot of things about how I have coped with it, and how I didn't really tell anyone about it. And then if I did tell people about it, I just like laughed it off or whatever. But I've never really acknowledged it in this sense, especially because when you say something, you can't really take it back, especially online. Like, there will be a copy of it somewhere, you know? And so saying it feels very final, to be like, this is something that happened to me. And I don't know what he did. Like I said, I don't know what happened that night, in the night. I don't know if he just touched me. I don't know if he put anything in. I don't know, right? But like, it's a complete violation to my body no matter what happened. But this book reminds me that like most women have a story. I think all women have a story like this, even if they don't tell it, even if they don't acknowledge it. And women's stories are so important. What happened to me doesn't define me. It doesn't change who I am as a person. It doesn't mean that I'm like this poor defenseless soul. I'm okay. And I have my ways of coping. I do like, I have therapy and stuff, you know, I have all these different things. But I think reading this book, obviously I'm in a very emotional headspace anyway, but I don't even know. I just think it's important to share. Maybe that's it. Maybe Yeah, that is it. Sorry. Maybe it is it. Her writing that book, me borrowing it from the library, me reading it, has made me confront some things in the past that maybe I wasn't ready to do before, or maybe I just didn't think it was very important to do. Whereas now I realize how important it is, because if her book, her words, just written words, can urge me to then speak about something that's happened to me, whoever's listening to this, maybe then like, okay, maybe my boyfriend doesn't treat me very well. Maybe that interaction that night was a soul, or was this, or was that. Obviously, I don't want anyone to suffer. I don't want anyone to, you know, be traumatized or whatever, you know, because it is traumatizing. It is. But if it means that someone can speak up about what they've been through and maybe get some help and find a way to work through it, that's all I can ask for. That's all I ever want. And that is why, like, when people message me and say, oh, like, it's a breath of fresh air hearing how real you are, or I love how open you are, how vulnerable you are, how, like, you just keep things real, and you're very, like, open about how you're feeling. That is such a compliment to me, because I think, especially in the age we're in, people want to make you believe that everything is perfect and everything is fine, or like as if they don't go through hardships. Everyone goes through hard times. Everyone goes through them. But it's just how you deal with them and how you carry on. That is what's important, because like I said, when it happened, I couldn't acknowledge that maybe I needed to go to hospital to have that kit taken out and done, you know. And I couldn't acknowledge that maybe burying it wasn't the best idea. But Lara, like I said, she saved my life that day. She really, truly did. And like, there are so many reasons that I love her. There's so many reasons I'm so grateful she's my best friend. But that day, without hesitation, she was just there. And she did everything for me. She bought my dinner. She made sure I had some stuff to eat. She made sure I had water, like paracetamol, anything I needed. And I just fell asleep next to her. Like, no words needed. Just, oh my God. Maybe I'm going to cry over Lara now. Just, like, unconditional love. And that's why I'm very grateful. Because I feel like with my friends, I have lots, I would say I have lots of friends, and I have a lot of close friends, but I also have friends that can be a bit like flaky and, you know, like maybe they're not true friends, whatever. But the way you get through things is by the people around you and who you surround yourself with. And especially coming up to like my birthday now, the people I have around me are so special, and I'm very lucky. And even though I saw this girl on TikTok, Francesca Rose, I absolutely love her. She speaks a lot about her grief from losing her dad, and I literally, those videos when she cries, oh my God, they get me as well, because she just seems like such a beautiful person. Anyway, she said in one of her videos that life is cruel, but I am not. And don't get me wrong, I can be a fucking bitch sometimes. That I'm not denying that. But to my core, I'm not a cruel person. And I think acknowledging the strength, because I've never ever ever seen myself as a strong person. I've always thought of myself very much as a weak person, because I break down easily and I'm very emotionally, like anything can get me when it comes to my emotions. But I've carried a lot with me, and not just from these interactions with like boyfriends or like men or whatever, but also like carrying all of the mental load from when I wasn't well. Like it was hard to see how it impacted my family, and I didn't want it to impact my family, but I also didn't know how to get help, what I was doing, you know, all of that stuff. Every single time I've been like, I can't get through this, I can't do this anymore, and every single time I do. And that is what I need to remember in times like these, when I'm feeling very bad, which I so often do. I need to remember that I got through it. And today, I kind of had like I don't even know what sort of moment you would call it, but I kind of had like a cheat moment where I was like, oh my God, something happened not long ago. And when it was happening, I was like, I'm never going to get through this. And then I was thinking in the lorry today, I was like, I'm through it. I'm fine. I'm not thinking about it anymore. And so that is sort of like what's at the back of my head at the moment. I'm like, anything you're going through, it's bad. Things so often are bad, but it's the way you deal with it, the way you push through it. That's what matters. That is what makes you who you are as a person. And who am I as a person? Leng. Yes. Well, yes. And like I said, I got a bit deep there. Oh my gosh, my bad. But I was like umming and ahhing, and maybe that's why all day I felt a little bit like, I haven't felt sad. I've just felt very overwhelmed and very like there's a lot on. Like my brain just felt like it couldn't turn off. But I was like, should I speak about it? Should I not? And then I thought about how I haven't even read, I think I'm like halfway through the book. And it like compelled me this much to speak about what had happened to me. I was like, I have to. I feel like I owe it to myself, and I deserve to be able to speak about it without fear of what's going to happen and claim it, because it happened to me. He put me in that position. It happened to me. The awful interactions, the awful things that have happened, and the traumas that I've suffered with men, that is their doing on me. So why shouldn't I be able to speak about it? You know, that's what I think now. And it's more of like I'm just trying to be exactly who I want to be. And that's strong, and that's brave, and that's speaking out against things. And I speak out so often about things that I see. But it's like, I'm going to advocate for myself and say, yeah, I didn't fucking deserve any of that. I didn't deserve to go through that. And no man is owed anything, no matter how, and this is the thing, how much did you drink? Why didn't you stop drinking? Why did you accept the drink? I thought this man was normal. Why was I drinking? I was at a party. And there's always going to be people, there have been people that were like, well, how much were you drinking? And like, were you flirting with him? I don't know. I think he drugged me. Does that help? You know, Your Honor? And this is the thing, like, what? It probably wouldn't have even gone to court. And it's just like, sometimes you just act on what you think is going to bring you the most peace and just protect you the most. And the way I acted accordingly to what I thought would be the most safe option for myself, which was just being like, what I don't know can't hurt me, and that's why I didn't do anything about it. Would it be different now? 100% would it be different now. I'm not welcoming that idea at all. Fuck that. But you know, I feel like I've had my fair share of trauma from men, which is probably why I am very single and happy to stay that way. I think I need to be alone for a good amount of time, and I've been alone for a good amount of time. I've been single, oh my god, on my birthday eve, the 10th of September, that will be 8 months of being single. And how much I've grown in that 8 months, it's insane. It's crazy. Honestly, I'm very grateful. There's so much to be grateful for, and that is why I don't let these experiences define who I am. I think for a very long time, I was very comfortable wallowing in my own sadness and all the things that had happened to me, and, you know, everything felt awful. But now, I'm bigger than that. I'm too much of an interesting person. I'm too much of a fun person. I have too much to give to let the bad things that happen to me define me, you know? Oh my god, I'm getting really white girl quote on you, aren't I? Live, laugh, love. Anyway, like I said, I didn't mean to get that deep, and I've also been talking for so long. I was like, oh, I'm barely gonna make it to 45 minutes. 1 hour 22 in, bitch. One thing about me, when you start me up, I just can't stop. But now I get my little treat at the end of every podcast episode. I take a picture of like my little setup, and I'm like, new episode tomorrow, because I always end up filming it the day before it's supposed to go out. And I move my mirror. I normally have a mirror there. I move my mirror to over there, and I take a little selfie in the mirror, and I always look delectable. But now I've said that, I'll probably look like ass. And it's so funny because I did my makeup today, and I was like, wow, my makeup looks really good. And I found that every time I feel awful on the inside, I look the best on the outside. So then when I do my makeup and I'm really excited for something, I'm like, oh, you look awful. Isn't that so cruel? But you know what? It's another thing, just to quickly acknowledge that I wasn't going to film an episode today, even though it's like the week I'm supposed to be uploading one, because I was like, oh, not feeling it and feeling really down. But I knew that this would make me feel better. And also I was thinking, girl, remember who you're filming this for, myself, because like I've mentioned before, I'm my own biggest fan. I'm this podcast's biggest fan. And I'm so glad I did. So well done me. Gold star. Maybe I'll buy myself something now. No, I'm joking. Maybe I'll let myself have like a spoonful of feta. Ooh, Woo, girl. I know how to party. That was, oh my gosh. That was a very white sentence. I'll have a spoonful of feta. White people when there's potato salad at the function. Bitch, don't even get me started. Anyway, I need to drink water because this headband is cutting off circulation to my brain. But then maybe DIY lobotomy at home. Thank you, Primark headband. Anyway, I am actually going to go because I have to make myself my own birthday banner. And I'm going to watch Pretty Little Liars, even though, oh my God, it's bullshit Chella on Pretty Little Liars at the moment. But we're coming up to the Dollhouse episodes, and that is something to celebrate. Anyway, I love you, and oh, okay, declarations of love, but I do. Sue me. I will see you in my next episode. I feel like I might have a bonus episode, a boner, the week before or the week of my birthday. I might do a 24 things I've learned in 24 years. Oh my God, who is ready for the wisdom of this being? Question mark? Who's ready for that? Oh my God. Maybe a little spoiler alert for that episode. Don't follow any of my advice. Joking. It's all really good advice because I've already written it down. Yes, prepared. Yes, prepared. But yeah, I've been free bleeding this entire time, so I probably need to go and change my pants. Okay, see you next time. Bye.